What's up, everybody? Lou from Hypocritic here. We are on the ground at the first ever Riftbound regional qualifier event in the United States at Houston, Texas, and we are here with Michael Sherman, the global head of organized play for Riftbound.
That's right.
Something like that.
That's right.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for being here.
Oh, absolutely. It's been a very exciting event, which is what we want to talk to you all about. So to get a good kind of foundation, can you tell us a little bit about your background at Riot, your experience with organized play across not just Riftbound, but some of the other games and brands, and how it all kind of comes together from your perspective?
Yeah, so I've been at Riot for a little more than 11 years. And in that time, really early on, spent the first 8 years on League of Legends. And then the last couple of years have really been helping us think about how do we support and build out a lot of our new games. So started out with TFT, been working on 2XKO, and then sometime last year, started getting more and more involved in this giant growing project that was Riftbound, and helped reveal Riftbound last year at the TFT Macau Open, one of my other events, and I've really kind of now spent this year really thinking about how do we bring Riftbound to the world outside of China.
Yep, and what a ride that has been. I think
definitely a ride
from how all of that has gone. So with your kind of organized play experience and understanding, not just how maybe Riot has approached the competitive scene for other games, but also how other TCGs have done it across time. Still, when you're at the ground floor of something, it's your first crack at it. There's got to be a ton of things you're trying to do going in to try to get it right. So can you talk about some of that background of how some of your experience, how you've seen some of the rest of the industry do it? How did that help inform how you took this first shot at big organized competitive play for Riftbound?
Yeah, I work on 3 different games that have totally different expectations, player bases, communities, and every time you start from the ground, from the beginning, you think about what is unique to this group, what do they need, what does good look like for them, because it's a different question, a different need each time. So I'm a longtime card game player myself. Have played card games for 20 years, would go to card shops. I spent every Saturday at a card shop and in high school. And so took a lot of that experience and a lot of going to different events, really started to build a foundation of what do players expect for a game like this. And a big goal for us with these regional qualifiers was we think we want to come out the gate and show that we're serious about building this game and that we're going to create a really great experience. And we wanted to make sure that we could land something that gave a really strong first competitive showing, but also kind of made it so clear that Riftbound isn't going to just be all about the competition. So a lot of the environment here, all the different side events, community activations, have really been trying to showcase this idea that we believe there's all sorts of different types of people and motivations that we want to support within the Riftbound community.
Right, and I think you see it as you kind of walk around the event hall this weekend and see everything's going on. The investment is really there. And I think the proof's in the pudding there to some degree. So going a little deeper on sort of designing that experience, right? You mentioned, all these things, making sure that the main event runs well, that the side events are interesting, that there's enough for people to do to feel like this was a worthwhile experience for them. They want to keep engaging. Can you peel back a little bit more of that design and sort of development process of how are we structuring the events? How are we kind of deciding what's fun for players, what people are going to want, and trying to, again, get it all right out of the first gate, so to speak, without really having the experience of a prior event to go off of?
I think the most important thing is we went into this saying we're not going to get everything right. A lot of it was we know that we have to hit a certain bar that helps make us a real player in the space. And so a lot of this has been in partnership with UVS to really build out what are the different types of events, what are the sizes, what are even the location and timing. And so I think a big square one was just kind of everybody getting together and saying, what do we want out of this event, this first one? And making sure that we had a strong first competitive event was first on the table. We opened that up to 1,000 players. We found demand was extremely high. We didn't want to go way too big and then fall over. So it was important for us to we can open it up a little bit more. And then once we had that kind of main foundation in place, it really came to things of what do we want people who bring their friends or knocked out or just decide to drop. What are the different things that they can engage in and that they can have a lot of fun with? We met over by the the card slinging area where you could play versus different Riftbound devs and rioters. There's all sorts of vendors here this weekend who are kind of, yes, singles, but also access to product or what's it called? Sleeves, play mats. If you're new to the TCG place, you might not have these already. So it's really been trying to give people a soft place to land and kind of get that experience. And then we'll be able to build on top of that going forward.
Yeah, and very welcoming, obviously, for those players who are either spectators or, more casual about it, maybe, so it isn't just that really hardcore competitive experience, although that is obviously the major thrust of it.
Sure.
And kind of on that same token, a lot of this, like you said, and we were talking about off camera, has come together with the help of UVS. Obviously, they're so critical to the success of the game in all of those phases. Can we maybe go a little deeper on your specific kind of partnership with them in this space specifically? So everything from, working through the main event hiccups or making sure that that's running as smoothly as possible, standing everything up in the first place, and sort of cooperatively collaborating on just building the whole event space and making it flow and fun. What has that sort of partnership been like from Riot's perspective specific to events like this?
A big part of it, my philosophy when it comes to working with partners is trust. So, when we went into this, we wanted to make sure that UVS knew they had the trust of Riot to take risks and build things out within their vision. We also spent a lot of time, asking questions, trying to build a shared understanding of how do they get to one decision that kind of matches our own decision. And so more than anything, when to have a relationship like that, it's about building that shared knowledge, shared understanding. We both have worked with the TO that's operating here this weekend. We both have different experiences with some of the events companies that we partnered with to put this together. So trying to build as much shared understanding and DNA so that each of us can kind of help arrive at a similar destination. And then, when it comes to program design, there's a lot of great things that are done in collaboration with them. They, something that's been really popular this weekend has been the best of pricing. And that was actually something that originally came from their team. And it's really we've been saying all weekend, how many decks do we think will make top 64 just based off this idea that, yes, Kai'Sa's pretty strong, but it would be cool to see, what level of decks players might bring going after that best of pricing as well.
And that's very clearly paid off because there's a great distribution and all the materials released of just how many different decks are here and represented in large part because of that.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a really smart way to encourage that diversity in the metagame, which is great.
It's just been really fun all weekend to follow that and see people come into this of oh no, I decided to give this deck a shot because I really like it, and it's nice that there's actually something for me for that I can go after to play it.
It keeps a spirit of fun amidst all the sweat, which is great. I want to kind of steer into the future a little bit if we can. So I don't know how much you can speak to it or talk about it at this stage, but obviously I have to imagine a ton of learnings come out of something like this, again, with the first kind of swipe at it. Can you elaborate at all on some of the things that Riot has maybe focused on or tuned into for, all right, maybe we're going to try some of these things or focus more on this or change up for future events, because there are a lot coming and we'll talk about that. But what are some of the takeaways you're finding so far?
Yeah, I think a lot of where we go from here is trying to be more predictable in that experience and repeat. I think I'll be the first to say there are some things that did not work this weekend that the way that we communicated that they would. And I think that's the most important thing for us to kind of put our attention towards and make sure we have a playbook for. Yesterday, getting into the event was pretty tough. There were long lines, and it wasn't really clear where you were supposed to be going. So things like that are kind of really high on our list to sharpen the execution. And then I think we really want to continue to push the boundaries on what can we do with side events, what can we do with prize wall, how can we make it feel like when you come to one of these events, you walk away with a unique experience, so that it's not just I've gone to a regional qualifier, I'm good. It makes you excited to go to multiple and maybe come check out what we're doing in different places around the world.
repeat is a key word there. And speaking of different events around the world, flawless segue. That's wonderful. A lot coming up on the roadmap for 2026 in terms of competitive events, not just in the United States, but globally. It seems like a very healthy timeline that's been announced so far. I know that there's more coming toward the end of the year. Can you talk a little bit about the theory and the execution behind making sure that this level of event is well represented geographically and has sort of a diverse set of places you can go and different pieces of the world that it caters to, so that everyone kind of has access to events like this?
Yeah, I think that there's, especially when a game is new, it's really important that it feels like it's relevant to you where you are in the world. And so, of course, that starts at the local game store, making sure that like there's places locally for you to go play, meet other players. And then as we think about events like this, it's really trying to figure out where do we see lots of excitement and playership of Riftbound, and how can we make sure that we have a timeline to deliver events to those groups. So we've already talked about Vegas and Bologna, and I think we're really excited to get out to Europe and showcase this type of event to the European audience, and also learn from them, because they're going to have different expectations. And then as we kind of look at the rest of the world, it's really going to be thinking about where are the right places and the right times to bring these events, as we both see the communities develop and form, and also help plant seeds to help communities develop and form.
Right, and again, lots coming up across 2026 for all of that, and between Spirit Forge and all the rest of the sets coming, that seems like the roadmap is very healthy.
Yeah.
So we'll be keeping you up on that. Michael Sherman, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.